I'm Jeff Biggs, and I am still waiting for the big deal that didn't happen today for the Cowboys.
I am Marcus Mosher. I thought free agency started on Wednesday.
Glenn Stretch Smith, and there ain't been no splash yet.
How about them Cowboys? It's the Cowboys Squad. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
It's great to be with you as the legal tampering period is now underway in the NFL. Full disclosure, just a little side note, I was going to go with a couple of different options for that intro. My first was going to be, hey, let's call the FBI. We need to find the Cowboys front office, but then they signed Jalen Thompson, so couldn't really go with that. Plus, they did pick up Rashan Gary this morning. Or I took a lot of heat, Marcus, for saying that In-N-Out Burger is better than Whataburger. I got crushed in the comments. I stand by that, by the way, but it's okay. But I was going to say tonight or today, so far, has been kind of a nothing burger. But there's still time, and like you said, Marcus Mosher, really, Wednesday is the day that we're looking for. And a lot of players are still out there, like most of them.
Yeah, I remember when free agency used to be like a 2 or 3 week event, right? Like these deals would trickle in slowly. Now it's really like 2 days. By the time we get to Wednesday, all the top free agents are going to be signed. You're going to be down to the 4th and 5th wave of free agency. It's wild how the NFL has turned this into a 2-day event.
All right, Coach.
Yeah, you should have gotten crushed for saying it was better than a Whataburger. You're in God's country, and you're smarter than that. That's number one. So it's fine to think it, but you're down here. You should they should have bopped you real good right in the snot box for saying that.
I've never had either Stretch. Neither of them.
What's that?
Whataburger or In-N-Out.
You've never had either one of them?
Nope, they don't have them up here anymore.
So I don't know why you don't go around the corner tonight and get Yankee tattooed on the right cheek of your ass.
I mean, it's true.
You're Yankee. So it's fine. I mean, it's fine. We want you on the show. But, I don't know. I think we talked so much about the direction that we thought the Cowboys might go. Might it be something that would really get you where you felt like you needed to get your checkbook out or your credit card to go renew your seat license. And right now that hadn't happened. There's been nothing in my mind that's made you say, boy, that's the difference. Now, I did see, I look back at the signing of Thompson, or when they had the signing of Thompson, I go look back at the stat line just thinking, okay, is this something that he did when the Cowboys played the Cardinals? And the answer is no. Yeah, I think he had 2 tackles, and I mean he was just kind of a guy. So if you want to say, well, he's opposite of Budda Baker, and yeah, they maybe the one of the top 5 1-2 combinations of safeties that are out there. You can look at it that way, or you can say, hey, the last big Cowboys signing was what was it, Carr? When they gave him 5 for
55,
100, when they signed him
5 for 55, I remember.
Yeah, when they signed him from the Chefs, and you're like, you thought, and that's why they've been burnt, because that turned out to be just average as a bowl of grits. So, maybe this is something where they're now valuing the safety position and saying they want to put a little money into it.
Let me do the official intro, by the way. I kind of botched that one. So welcome to the Cowboys Squad Show. That is the co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, Marcus Mosher, who was up early this morning with Landon McCool doing a special episode. And we have former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. Aisha Morrison let me know a little while ago she is going to be back with us on Thursday. So we look forward to that. All right, that's the intro. Let's just start with the news that we have today. We found out this morning Rashan Gary was acquired by the Cowboys for a 7th round pick. And then later in the day, they agreed with Jalen Thompson on a 3-year deal. What's interesting about that to me is, one, we didn't really talk about him, but we were speculating, hey, maybe would they go with a guy like Reed Blankenship to reunite him with Christian Parker? He just signed with the Texans for a whole lot less than what the Cowboys signed Thompson for.
I can talk about this one. I'm actually happy the Cowboys went and signed Jalen Thompson over Reed Blankenship. Number one, I think he's just a better player. Number two, he was much better in 2025. And there's also a relationship there. Remember, Ryan Smith, who the Cowboys hired as the cornerback coach, was in Arizona last year. And he was, he was there, obviously, coaching Jalen Thompson. The reason I like Thompson so much is that he is somebody that's done really it all in Arizona. Over 2,000 snaps in the box during his career, 1,200 slot snaps, 2,500 snaps as a deep center field safety. He's literally done it all. And you kind of had to when you had Buda Baker, who you had to move all over the field. He's only 27. He turns 28 this summer. And I think the deal they got him on was very, very team friendly. I thought he was the second best safety on the market outside of Brian Cook. I think this is a really, really strong deal for Dallas.
Okay.
I think that's good. I'll take your word. I haven't watched 5 minutes of him. I didn't hardly know who he was. So I certainly can't come on here and say, boy, let me point you to this. Let me tell you about that. That's not the case. So I'll take your word, although I have a hard time taking your word, knowing that the Cowboys Pro personnel department has not been lighting it a fire recently. So, okay. It's
fair enough.
It's time to take a good swing and see if you can hit one, and maybe they hit one here.
To me, this is he's not going to be a big interception guy. I think he didn't have an interception last year. He hasn't had more than 2 interceptions, I believe, in each of the last 3 seasons. So don't expect that you're going to be getting a guy that's a big ball hawk. What he does well is that he plays in the box. He tackles really well. He's a decent run defender, but it's his versatility. And I think with the news that the Cowboys are, bringing back Malik Hooker, you've got Thompson. I think you feel pretty good about where the safety room is at right now.
Isn't that what Hooker is, a box safety? Isn't that what Wilson was, a box safety?
Donovan Wilson, yes. Malik Hooker is to me is a little bit more versatile. They use him a lot as a center fielder. I think these two mesh way better than what Donovan Wilson and Hooker did, because Thompson can actually cover.
Okay, so let's take a step back and let's go back to the weekend. All right, and let's try to connect the dots a little bit if we can. So, according to multiple media reports, the Cowboys were all in for Maxx Crosby. They had an offer of a first-round pick and a future second-round pick. The Ravens beat that with the 2 number 1s. So what did you think of that, number one, both of you? And number two, I guess maybe because of that, I was expecting them to do something big today, and maybe that could still happen. We hope, right? Maybe Rashan Gary, maybe that was kind of maybe a different part of the plan. I don't know. What do you see when you look at the whole picture and where we're at right now?
Go ahead, Stretch.
Well, I mean, first of all, I had heard that it was what they offered for Maxx Crosby was a 1, the following year's 2, and a player. So the Raiders decided to go a different direction with the 2 1s, which is what Baltimore offered, which is, boy, in my mind, it's like that's out of the character of what an Ozzie Newsome, Baltimore Ravens scouting department front office used to look like. Now, maybe they have shifted gears and say, hey, we're in a win now mode with where we're at with Lamar Jackson and what we want to do. So, I didn't have any problem with where the Cowboys were going or the emphasis they put on Maxx Crosby not getting him. I think you then move to the edge of your chair and you go, well, okay, since they didn't get him, then let's see where they go with Trey Hendrickson. That's my thinking, because I do think that even though they got Rashan Gary early in the day, he's not that guy screaming off the edge that's going to go be a productive pass rusher. I don't know where Hendrickson's health is. Something like comes to my forefront that maybe they don't think he's healthy. Maybe he can't pass the physical, whatever the scenario is right now. But I do like, from a Cowboys standpoint, that nobody else has signed Trey Hendrickson yet, so that's still a possibility.
So just to go back to the Maxx Crosby offer,
All right.
I think a first and a second, and listen, the player was Osa Digizua. Like that's been
right.
out there for a while.
Yeah, that's right.
That
Thank
is a very, very strong offer by the Cowboys. Very strong. Now, that to me, that was more than I was willing to offer, like personally. But I also understand why the Raiders took the Ravens offer, because they are looking for draft picks, not necessarily players, right? And with the Ravens' first-round pick this year already being at 14, you're locking yourself into a top 15 pick. It makes total sense to me. I think what's fascinating to me is how they pivoted. They didn't go to Trey Hendrickson again as of this recording. They went to Rashan Gary, and this is one that I got to be honest, Coach. I just don't see it. There was some rumors over the weekend that the Packers were going to cut Rashan Gary. That seems very, very likely considering his cap number. The Cowboys jumped in. They gave up a 4th-round pick, which is not insignificant, for a player that has $42 million left on his current contract. Now, none of it is guaranteed. None of it is guaranteed. So they might. What's that?
I thought it was a 7th. It was a 4th?
It was a 4th-round pick.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ouch.
Yes. A 4th-round pick and $42 million. Now, I'm going to like this deal a lot better if we hear 2 days from now that they've lowered the base salary, they've given him some more guaranteed money, and it's really $12 million rather than $18 million. We'll see. But this is a guy whose pass rush win rate, which is a stat that PFF has when it comes to how often do you beat your block, has declined in each of the last 4 seasons. He did not record a sack in the second half of last year. The play really dropped off when Micah Parsons left last year. I still think he's a valuable run defender, but you're not paying $18 million a year for a run defender. You need him to be a better pass rusher than what he's been over the last couple seasons.
And again, that what everybody said was, when you lost Micah, you got to have a guy bringing it off the edge. Now, we could sit here and say, okay, does this move of trade and re-sign or whatever you want to do with Rashan Gary, does that move now tell you where Dallas is going to go in this draft? Does that tell you that it's one of your guys, Marcus? Is it Howell or Bain that immediately moved to the forefront of that 20th pick? I'll be honest, I'm scared of that with them 30-inch arms. I'm scared of that. But does what happened today signify or tell you what the Cowboys are going to do if Hendrickson is not the guy? And I think absolutely it does.
I mean, I think so. Edge rusher was one of their biggest needs anyways. And even if Gary ends up being a way better player than what I'm anticipating, or even what the Cowboys are anticipating, they need more edge rushers. Donovan Ezraku is coming off hip surgery. James Houston is really the only other edge guy on your roster. Jadeveon Clowney is a free agent. Dante Fowler is a free agent. You're going to need like 4 outside linebackers in the scheme, and you really only have 2, and one of them is going to miss the entire offseason. So, yeah, I think they could actually go out and sign another guy, at $7 to $8 million a year, and still prioritize that in the draft at picks, 12 or 20. I fully expect them to draft a defensive end with one of those first 2 first-round picks.
All right, let's hold it right there. I'll tell you what, when we come back, so they make 2 moves today. What can they do? What's left? How much money do they have left? Do you think? What moves are still out there? What do you think they might be able to do left in free agency? We'll get into that and more when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. I got to give it up to Game Time, though, because right now we live in a world where you can stream anything, order food in minutes, and carry supercomputers in our pockets. And somehow buying tickets to a live game still feels complicated. You got hidden fees, jumping prices, endless steps. I mean, there really has to be a better way. Well, that's why there is the Game Time app. It gives fans the advantage and makes getting tickets simple. Whether it's NFL games, concerts, comedy, whatever you're into, you jump onto the app, check out your tickets for an upcoming game, and it really only takes you minutes to get it done. You can see panoramic views from every seat before you buy. The price you see includes all fees, and there are no surprises when you get to checkout. And you can even spot zone deals where you can pick the section and Game Time picks the seat for extra savings. So it's really 2 taps and you have great seats locked in, fast, easy, done. So right now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. All right, we're back. The Cowboys Squad Show. Former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith and the co-host of the Daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, Marcus Mosher. All right, they get Rashan Gary. Little side question for you on that one, Marcus. Do you think one of the new coaches had some input on that acquisition, number one? And they signed Jalen Thompson. Where does that leave them? What else realistically? I mean, do they have enough to make another big move if they want to? Is there enough cap space?
Yeah, I mean, there's always cap space, right? Like you can always find some space. And we saw even this morning, the Cowboys renegotiated a deal with Terence Steele that freed up, I believe it was $13 million. They re-signed Malik Hooker to a deal that actually saved them $2 million against the cap. So they have other moves that they can make, whether it's restructuring Kenny Clark's contract or restructuring Osa Digi's contract. Like Osa Digizu, they have moves that they can make. Will they make any more big moves? I think that remains to be seen. But to go back to the original question, there's several connections with Rashan Gary, Brandon Jordan, the Cowboys' new pass rush consultant that they hired just a week ago. He has experience with Rashan Gary in Green Bay. Christian Parker was actually there in 2019 and 2020 working as a consultant when Gary was drafted. So there's 2 connections there. I think that's why the Cowboys probably made this move.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that there certainly would have been someone that, stepped up for making this move. And, the defensive coordinator right now is probably he's going to have some say because he's the new voice in the building, and they got to trust somebody in that situation. So, it's 2 guys that at least the Cowboys and their new staff have some familiarity with.
All right. Were you surprised, Marcus, at the interest level for Maxx Crosby at all?
No, I mean, partially because Jerry Jones loves him. I remember when the Cowboys were about to play the Raiders right before Thanksgiving, he was on the radio talking about how special of a player Maxx Crosby is, someone that can stop the run just as well as he can get to the quarterback, who can play that many snaps. No, he's an easy player to like. Plus, he plays hard on every single snap. I totally get it. And I think this is somebody that fits any scheme. I think if you would have added him to this defensive line, you would have, arguably had one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. So I'm not surprised at all they had an interest. I am a little surprised that they were that aggressive trying to go out and get him.
I'm surprised at what it took to get him. I mean, we all know that. I mean, when you're messing in free agency and you're you're talking trade this time of year. You're not shopping at the Dollar Tree. I mean,
No.
you're at Central Market and you're paying 120% of what it is. And okay, it's branded a little different. And okay, it's tagged a little different. But at the end of the day, you're still having to spend more. But I certainly didn't. When the Raiders said they wanted 2 1s for him, I thought there's no way they get 2 1s for him. Well, but that's why I'm on here talking to you guys now.
Well, just really quickly, there were a lot of people saying, okay, if Maxx Crosby gets 2 first-round picks, how did the Cowboys only get 2 for Micah Parsons? And there's a big difference in salary where Maxx Crosby's only being paid, I think it's $29 million each of the next 4 seasons. Where with Micah Parsons, you had to give him a new deal right away, and the new money average there was $47 million. So I think the difference in paying a guy $17 to $18 million less per season is worth quite a bit more. Mike is still the better player, just to be clear, but that's why he still went for 2 first-round picks.
So I know we've been talking a lot about all the different needs, linebacker, edge rusher, secondary. We haven't really seen any real big name linebackers go yet, right? Unless I'm missing one.
Well, right before we went on the show, Nakobe Dean, who a lot of people thought was going to join the Cowboys, and Quay Walker, a linebacker from Green Bay, they both went to the Raiders. They both got fairly decent deals. Yeah, Nakobe Dean signed a 3-year, $36 million contract. Quay Walker signed a 3-year, $40 million contract. And just from all the reports that are out there, it sounded like the Cowboys were in on Quay Walker. But I don't know if they were ever going to be able to meet that price tag. So those are 2 big linebackers that are already off the board.
Wow. So I wonder what that means for somebody like Devin Bush and how much he'll command. I guess
Devin Bush signed today with oh man, now I'm losing it. Chicago, 3 years, $30 million. So you are seeing a lot of these linebackers come off the board.
Are you talking Lloyd, the guy?
Devin Lloyd.
Lloyd, thank you. I'm sorry. I get my Devins mixed up. It's an age thing. Lloyd hasn't signed though, right?
Lloyd has not signed yet. We're waiting to see where he goes.
Okay. I wonder how much he will command with the market being kind of established right now.
So kind of the rumblings going into free agency was 16 to 17 million per year. I would pay that. Honestly, I would pay Devin Lloyd that much money because I think he's that good of a player. And I think if you sign him to that deal, I think linebacker is suddenly a position that you don't have to draft in round 1. You have DeMarvion Overshown. You drafted Shamar James. Maybe you grab somebody on day 3, but I think Devin Lloyd could do everything that you would want from a starting linebacker. I think I would be even willing to pay a little bit more than market value here because he's such a good player and he's still so young.
I would think, Coach, what's it like, kind of right now when you're making plays for some guys and you get some, but you don't get some. You don't want to keep, musical chairs. You don't want to keep missing out and losing out. So I'm assuming they have a pretty good list and they're just going down the list and trying to get some.
Yeah, it's how you rank these guys and where you think they might go. I mean, when you make mistakes and past mistakes, whether that's in free agency or in drafting, this is when it costs you. And it costs to get back in and play in this particular arena. And that's where they're at right now. So, I'm hoping that they have some money. I don't know right where they're at with the cap, but I know they're trying to clear some money. But I think the key is going to be, can they get Gary for cheaper on the books than what he shows coming out of Green Bay?
And there are some things the Cowboys can do once the trade officially goes through. They could restructure the deal, save some cap, push some money into 2027, or he's likely going to be released anyways. To me, this is probably a 1-year rental. Now, it's expensive to rent a player for 1 year, or they could approach Gary and say, hey, $42 million. You're not going to make that on the open market. What if we give you $20 million guaranteed? We'll give you a signing bonus right now. And that way you get a little bit more security. I think that's ultimately what's going to happen here. And that's going to free up, that could potentially free up anywhere from $6 to $8 million for Dallas this year.
What do you think, Marcus, the thought process? I mean, you nailed it pretty well that in all likelihood he was going to be released by the Packers. Why give up a 4th round pick and take on that contract that you have to deal with when if you probably waited a little bit, you would have been able to get him anyway? I'm sure he would have loved to come here.
Yeah, a couple things. I think number one, you do it because you have more flexibility when it comes to a contract, and you're not having to bid against other teams in free agency. Like I said, there's no guaranteed money. So if this thing goes really poorly and he's just washed up in camp, they cut him before week 1 and they don't owe him any money, right? You don't have the benefit of that if you sign him to a big deal on the open market. Now, that's obviously like the worst case scenario here, because then you gave away a 4th round pick, but you have more flexibility with what you can do with this contract, and you're not having to give up a ton of money up front. As for the 4th round pick, I think this is probably where I have the biggest disagreement with them. I think you could probably have gotten him a little cheaper than that. Maybe there were some other teams that were bidding against Dallas, and that's something that we don't know. But for a player that was very likely going to be released, it does seem like a little bit of an overpay based on the trade compensation.
Yeah, I'm going to say that the reason they did give that for was because there were multiple other bidders out there. That's just my gut feeling. Otherwise, I don't see Steven or Jerry doing what would feel like a knee-jerk move to go ahead and give up a 4 there.
Oh, I don't disagree, but we have seen this before with like Jonathan Mingo. They traded a 4th round pick for Jonathan Mingo, and
I'm fully aware of that. And yeah, they had a 2nd round grade on him coming out of college, and 2 years he proved he wasn't making the step in Carolina, and yeah,
I mean he's got 5 passes for them since then. So they do have a tendency to overpay for some of these trades. They did it last year with Kyrie Elam. They did it last year with Kenneth Murray. Frankly, they probably did it with Joe Milton as well. So this is kind of a trend, unfortunately. I think Gary is a better player than all of those names that we just mentioned. But we'll see how it works out.
I could have sworn it was a 7th round pick. I mean, that it just changes the whole conversation. So you hit on it in your first answer, Marcus. So what with the D line depth, you still a few players away, right? I mean, still more work to do. A few more edge rushers.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely you need more edge rush help. And again, if you look at like the pressures for Rashan Gary for last year, you'll see a big number. I think what I'm concerned about is the win rate. Like you're just not seeing him beat blocks as effectively as he did in previous seasons. Now the hope is that the defensive tackle play is a lot better, and he's going to see more one-on-one blocks, more matchups against the tight end. And I think that's how you get more value from him. But to answer your question, yeah, they're probably going to need to add at least 2 more edge rushers. I would like to see them add 1 more decently priced veteran, whether that's a Joey Bosa or somebody in that range. But I fully expect them to draft 1 early and sign another.
Yeah, I mean they've got to have numbers at that position. It's that simple. They can't. I mean, I don't think there's any way where they're staying right now, you're not going back to Jadeveon Clowney.
No, probably not. I would, but probably not, though.
I mean, as I said, it feels a little underwhelming today. I mean, I was kind of excited. I was really maybe expecting something big, especially on the heels of coming up short for Maxx. But I mean, Jerry promised and vowed to bust the budget. Doesn't feel like it yet. Now it's not done yet. I'm not saying it's over and this is it. But I mean, I hope there's something left. I hope there's another move or 2.
Oh, there will be. I think you're going to see them sign a linebacker or trade for a linebacker here in the next 24 hours. I think you'll see another edge rusher. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a cornerback signing as well. I just think when people thought that they were maybe getting Trey Hendrickson and Nakobe Dean and Jalen Thompson, that maybe they got their hopes up a little bit too much. I think Jalen Thompson's a big win. I think Rashan Gary is a riskier trade, but I understand why they made it. Let's let the process play out a little bit here.
Yeah, I think you got. I don't think you can jump in and start grading what they've done in a sense is a 6.5 hour period or 7.5 hour period. I think you got to kind of and I'm not that way at all. I mean, I have zero interest in going fishing. If you call it catching, I'm in. But I'm the most impatient guy there is. But at this point,
I agree.
You're going to have to show a little patience. Well, I didn't ask you if you agreed or disagreed.
All right. When we come back, I want to look at the other side of this, and this could be maybe by being patient, they might get some good deals. We'll get into that when we come back. Great to be with you. Thanks for everybody that is joining us live and listening as well. We love it. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. Right now, though, I want to talk to you about what's going on at Indeed, because workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. And when the pressure's on, you need to get the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. That's right. Indeed, sponsored jobs. They help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the less than a minute that we've been talking, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed. That's according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, right, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Now, here's what you do. You want to spend less time. You want more time actually interviewing the candidates that you want, right? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And right now, listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And this is the Cowboys Squad Show. That is the co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, Marcus Mosher, along with former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. All right, so we've seen some activity, a lot of big names off the board already today, but a lot of players have not yet signed. And, this is where it kind of gets interesting, because you're kind of waiting for the next domino to fall. On one hand, if you're a team, you want to try to get the best deal. But on the other hand, if you're a player, right, you don't want to wait too long. You don't want to shoot yourself and lose even more money or miss a good opportunity. So now, gets interesting where you might see players maybe more willing to take like a 1-year prove it deal, something like that. So again, still a lot of players left, and it's going to be there. I'm sure the Cowboys are kind of waiting it out and doing their work behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I fully expect that to be the case. I think there's going to be, let me back up. I don't expect them to be in like the Trey Hendrickson market anymore. I just don't see them paying the money to go out and get him now. I think now what you're doing is trying to find guys that fit roles. And I'm just going to give you some names, like a Kyle Van Noy can come in here and be your fourth outside linebacker, or players like that are coming in on 1-year deals at $3-4 million a year, not too differently than what the Cowboys had last year in Dante Fowler and Jadeveon Clowney, just guys to fill out your rotation. I do think there are some quality starters left that the Cowboys might be interested in. We'll see what happens with Devin Lloyd. Leo Chenal is a linebacker from Kansas City that I think is worth exploring. But I think for the most part, we probably have seen them sign their big name players.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is going to be a situation where there's a lot of pressure with these first two picks. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I mean, they've got to hit on those two guys, and regardless of what they did in free agency, I still think they had to hit with those two guys. So I'm kind of glad they got the draft capital with those two players. And if you told me right now, if you just said right now, I think that if you said right now Styles and the Oregon safety, Styles at 20, the Oregon or Styles at 12, and the Oregon safety at 20. I mean,
Sign me up.
You might go, and I don't even drink. You might go drink till the damn world looks flat, because then it doesn't matter what they're doing in free agency.
I mean, I'm with you. Like, that's the draft is the most important thing here. If they miss their first two picks, they've got no chance, right?
That's exactly. And if they miss with either one of those picks, it doesn't make a whiskey crap what else they do. Because you might as well just say, hey, this would be a full. They have put themselves. They put all the pressure on the draft and put themselves. If they don't hit there, I mean, this is to be a full reset.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always going to come back to the draft, right? If they nail those two spots, again, I like Jalen Thompson quite a bit. I think even the biggest maybe skeptics on Rashan Gary at least could acknowledge that you're getting a good run defender that can eat up a bunch of snaps. And then you nail those two picks, and all of a sudden the defense can be average. And that's all we're asking for, is to have an average defense. If you have an average defense last year, you probably win 11 games. They weren't even close to average. So it's going to come down to those two picks, like it has all offseason. Those have been the most important assets the Cowboys have had this whole time.
It is interesting to me, though, that we talk about the window, right? And you look around the league, and and this is not to go after Dak or get into that, but when you have a high priced quarterback, that window shifts. And like look at the Chiefs, for example. I mean, they had to gut their defense, and they signed Kenneth Walker. So it's interesting to see different teams. Some teams beefed up defense, other teams are beefing up their offense, and it's just fascinating how it plays out. But the Cowboys, like you said, I mean, offense is great, defense just needs a little bit of help, and they've made a couple moves today. Hopefully they can fill it out.
Well, and that's what's so great about the NFL. There's no one model on how to build your team. And we see teams in free agency that are going with a stars approach. They're going to be, have a very top end defense and rely on the later stages of the draft to fill in the depth. There are other teams that believe in, hey, if we can have 14 or 15 starting caliber players on defense, that's how we get to be a top 10 unit. I don't really know how the Cowboys fit into there yet. Right now, it seems like it's a little bit of a stud and dud mentality, considering how much you're paying your 3 defensive tackles, your 1 edge rusher, and now your 2 safeties on top of Deron Bland. But we'll see. I'm curious to see how they fill out the rest of this roster.
I mean, what do you think the Chiefs are thinking? They let both starting corners walk out the door and went and spent their money on a running back. I mean, is that the team that is next year's Dallas Cowboys, where they're giving you the heads up, we got to go score 38 to 40 a game to win?
Maybe. And they also lost their starting safety in Brian Cook, who got a huge deal from Cincinnati. So, I mean, they're basically –
their whole secondary is gone.
Gone. Yeah. Now, they've got a really good coach over there that has proven that he can cover things up. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way they feel like they're going to have to start winning games moving forward.
I hope he's a covering, tackling some buck.
He's going to have to. I don't know how good Steve legs are anymore.
He better be able to fly and tackle if that's the case. Spagnola.
And how about the Seahawks? They unloaded quite a bit too, but they signed your guy Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, really excited to see Rashid Shaheed back with Seattle, and they've got JSN, who they're going to give a big deal to. They have Cooper Kupp. It's fascinating that they let the Super Bowl MVP walk, but obviously John Schneider and Mike McDonald believe that the running back position is easily replaceable. I'm curious to see which running back that they sign and if it fits into their new offense.
Yeah, which makes the Javonte Williams deal look pretty good, right? I mean, the fact they were able to get him at that rate, at that level, which is good to see.
Yeah, we should talk about that really quickly because Javonte signed a $8 million a year deal about 3 weeks ago. And I admittedly, I was a little critical of the deal. I thought it was a tiny bit expensive given his skill set, but you saw Kenneth Walker get $14 million a year. You saw Travis Etienne get $13.5 million. And I do think he's a step down from those guys, but there's not a $5 and $6 million gap between Javonte Williams and Kenneth Walker. So this is, again, I know everybody thinks I love to be critical about the Cowboys. I think this Javonte move continues to look better and better every day that passes.
You think Etienne's that big of that much a better player than Javonte?
No, yeah, he's quite a bit better as a receiver.
That's not what I said. I said you think he's a better football player?
Yes,
that much of a better football player.
I think he's a better football player, but he's not $6 million better than Javonte.
Yeah, no
way, no chance. Interesting. Very interesting. We'll see how that plays out for sure. But yeah, I like that move. And so with Trey Hendrickson, so yeah, I'm with you. It just doesn't seem like that window is still open there. Do you think something happened with him behind the scenes? The fact that he isn't signed with anybody yet?
No, I think he's been wanting to be a free agent for a while. I think he's taking his time. There's also, this is a guy that has had a lot of injuries throughout his career. I wouldn't be surprised if teams are being really cautious here. He's also in his 30s. He had a big injury that he's recovering from this year. He's not the best run defender in the world. He should still get over $20 million a year, just to be clear. But I bet you he's trying to find the right opportunity versus just jumping out and trying to get the most money possible.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it has to be about fit for him. I mean, he's played on a really bad defense. And so, he's to the point now where you are in your 30s and you got one chance to get this thing right. I mean, he's going to kind of see where this goes. But I don't get the feeling that the Cowboys are on the front burner. I can tell you that. And that's for either way. That's from his side and on the Cowboys side.
I wonder though, Marcus, you can answer this. I wonder though, the fact that they really wanted to get Maxx, right? They liked him. Jerry liked him, like you said, thought he could really make an impact in multiple ways. I wonder if they still want to make that kind of a move with somebody else that can make that kind of a splash, or was it just him as a player? I wonder if they still want to do that.
Oh, I mean, I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys are still looking at, guys like Caleb Von Chason, who they liked back in the 2020 draft. I think they're looking at somebody else who can give them some juice off the edge. And maybe it's not Trey Hendrickson right now at 20. I'm making up the number, $23 million. But maybe he's available tomorrow in the afternoon and he's coming down to $17 million. Maybe that's when the Cowboys jump back into this thing. But I'm with Coach right now. I don't think they're interested at all at the current price tag.
Yeah, interesting. And I wonder too, it's fascinating because on one hand, teams want to strike quick, players want to sign quick, but then after that, like you put it, that first wave, then it becomes kind of a cat and mouse of who can outweight. Like you don't want to. Sometimes you'll have a player that will say, "Nope, I'm going to wait for my deal," and sometimes it can drag on all the way before training camp. You just never know.
And let's also be honest. There's some guys here that don't love off-season workouts, right? I think Jadeveon Clowney is the king of this, right? Like, hey, I don't have to sign in March. Let me sign in late July or early August. Don't be surprised if a couple of these big name edge rushers take a little bit of time before they ultimately decide where they're going.
All right. Let's take our final timeout. When we come back, our final segment, we'll get some final thoughts. Maybe Marcus, if this is a real quick break, but I'd love to see if there's anybody else on your radar that you guys have mentioned that you'd like to see them maybe make a run at?
I'll have a list for you when we get back.
Love the list. I love the list. Thank you, Marcus. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, we're back. Told you, quick break. Cowboys Squad Show. Before we get into the list, what do we got coming up the rest of this week on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast?
Yeah, we're going to continue to break down all of the moves that the Cowboys made. We'll take a deeper dive into Rashan Gary, how he fits Christian Parker's defense, the expectations, what the contract could look like. Make sure you guys tune in for that. And again, any breaking news that the Cowboys have or the Cowboys make, we got you covered. Make sure you subscribe, download wherever you get your podcasts. We are free and available on all platforms.
Just taking a look real quick. Former Cowboy, I just saw this. Rico Dowdle signs with the Steelers, your backyard.
Yeah, it's a great fit for Rico. He rejoins with Mike McCarthy, who he obviously had a lot of success with in Dallas. They've got Jalen Warren, who is a really good receiving back and make plays off tackle. They needed somebody that could run between the tackles. Rico fits in there well. I think it's a great signing by Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They get Pittman today. They got DK. I mean, they got, Pittsburgh made a move today. I wonder what the percentages are of Rodgers coming back, and if not Rodgers, might Pittsburgh be the fit for Kyler Murray?
It sounds like it's more likely to be Joe Flacco if it's not Kyler.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know. I've been a Kyler critic for a long time, so I don't ever see that happening.
Dan Rooney was talking about how they need an AFC North style of quarterback, and what he means by that is tall, big arm. Not that Kyler doesn't have a big arm, but they're looking for somebody who can drive the ball in the wind, in the snow. I think if it's not Rodgers, it's going to be Joe Flacco. It could potentially be Mason Rudolph. Maybe it's Will Howard, who they drafted, but I don't know if that's a situation for Kyler.
Yeah. Tough, though. I mean, if you're a Steelers fan, though, tough to kind of put all your eggs in the Flacco basket going into a season. That would be, I don't know. Yeah, I realize there are limited options. There's not much you can do, but
yeah,
there's a way you could upgrade that. That would be better, certainly. All right, what's on the list? What do you got?
Yeah, so we are getting to the second and third wave of free agency where most of the top guys are off the board. And again, Devin Lloyd, Trey Hendrickson, those are the top two players. Really, that's the best linebacker and the best edge rusher available. They are still out there right now as of this recording. But if the Cowboys are looking at other edge rushers that might be values, Arnold Ebiketie, who played for the Atlanta Falcons last year.
What's his name?
Arnold Ebiketie.
God bless you. Did you sneeze?
Played at Penn State. He was actually pretty good on a per snap basis. I think that's somebody that really fits a 3-4 scheme well. We mentioned Caleb on Chason. Joey Bosa can still play a little bit if you want a guy that's just a part-time pass rusher. And for corners, the top guys out there, Tyreek Woolen from the Seattle Seahawks, 6'4", 210 pounds, can run like crazy. And then there's
wasn't the thought that you didn't think the Cowboys could afford him initially?
Well, I still don't know if they can. I don't know if they're going to be able to pay him $15-16 million a year for a guy that is as inconsistent as he is.
Right.
Yeah, I'll pass on that.
Nahshon Wright is still out there. If you want an all-pro caliber cornerback from the Bears, no.
I'm surprised he didn't sign today. A little bit.
I think teams know better, right? I think they realized that last year was a little fluky. Maybe don't do that again.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you want some older guys that fit the scheme, I think Calais Campbell, who's 39, has played in 3-4 for almost his entire career. He's still a good player. There's also Bradley Chubb. There's Hassan Reddick. There's guys out there, but most of these guys are rotational players who are probably going to get 1-year deals worth $4 or $5 million a year.
A lot of incentives, right? That's what you do. Try to make it worthwhile. Load it up.
You didn't seem excited about any of those names.
Yeah. Anybody stand out?
Luby's. That's where you go eat when you're older than that.
I mean, Stretch is just all out on free agent. I mean, and I get it. We are at the point in free agency where a lot of these names are not super intriguing, but what's fascinating to me is like we're getting some more information in real time about like Nakobe Dean, and it sounded like the Cowboys gave Nakobe Dean a similar offer to what he accepted with the Raiders. He chose the Raiders instead. I don't know if that says anything about where the Cowboys are at as a defense or as a franchise, but Dean thought that was a better fit for him.
Yeah, but Raiders are now, a total rebuild. Like, why? I guess, he won a Super Bowl in Philly, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, he won a Super Bowl. He's getting paid regardless.
Yeah.
Maybe he likes to live out in that desert, Coach, more than
That's exactly right. Maybe he wants to go out there and hear a little Nightlife City, gonna set my soul, gonna set my soul.
It's possible.
Very interesting. Wow. So the first wave, man, it's gone. It went quick.
Yeah. Usually it's only about 2 hours, right? We get a flurry of moves in 2 hours, and then things start to trickle out. We'll still get some stuff here over the next 24 hours, but yeah, I remember as a kid having to wait by the TV, watching ESPN, wait for the bottom line to pop up, and that's how you found out whether your team signed an impact pass rusher like Marcellus Wiley. That's all it was.
My man, I love Marcellus. It's my buddy. So back to the Terence Steele restructuring. So what did that? I know we talked about him a little bit. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with him being on board and part of the plan?
I love it. I think this is a phenomenal deal, and I actually think it works out well for Terence Steele. So the idea was that Steele had 3 years remaining on this deal, and what the Cowboys did, there was no guaranteed money. They gave him $22 billion of guaranteed money, but they lowered his base salaries significantly, and this locks him in to be on the team really for the next 2 years, but it could technically be a 1-year deal. And they save a bunch of cap space. It gives him more financial flexibility and security. Love it. A phenomenal job by the Cowboys front office getting this deal done.
No, I think so too, because Terence Steele is very productive. He's still a good football player. You don't want to have to. You didn't want to have to deal with that, and the fact that they got him on what feels like a team-friendly situation, or they got it in a team-friendly situation. That's a win-win right there. I mean, that one deal alone, might project them to be able to make a signing.
Yeah, and honestly, that move, the savings from that move alone probably paid for Jalen Thompson. I think Thompson's going to be making $11 million guaranteed for each of the next 2 seasons. There's your money. Like that's where you save that money. So kudos to Terence Steele for taking the pay cut. Good job by the Cowboys getting it done. It just bought you a starting safety in a spot that you really needed a player. Jalen Thompson is here now because of Terence Steele.
Nice. I have to confess, I am thinking, Marcus, about what you just mentioned about Nakobe Dean going to the Raiders instead of the Cowboys, because we talked about that a lot. And we thought, okay, that would be perfect, right? Christian Parker, his former coach, he could come here, be the guy, kind of be the captain of the defense, be the mic. And we don't know what happened or what really went down, but it surprised me a little bit. It's got me thinking a little bit. I hope there was nothing animosity there or anything.
No, my guess is he just decided it was a better football fit for him. Maybe he likes that scheme a little bit better. He said it was really close. It wasn't like one offer was way better than another. And that happens. Some guys want to play in Las Vegas, so they want to be closer to the West Coast. Some guys like playing in Texas, and you never know why certain players choose certain destinations. I think if you get offended by it, you're in the wrong business. Like this is just what happens with these guys. So I wouldn't put too much stock into it.
I agree with you. I think, it's where guys feel comfortable, where their family wants to go. And quite frankly, some of them are going to make a business decision, say, hey, I want to go to Texas because I don't have to pay state taxes. There's a lot of little variables there.
Get to the beach really fast if you're in LA or Las Vegas. You can get to Hollywood really quick if you care about that kind of stuff. people choose stuff for a variety of reasons, right? Tony Pollard went from Dallas, which was a great situation behind a really good offensive line, to Tennessee because that's where he grew up. He grew up in Memphis, right? So don't judge these decisions too much by football decisions. A lot of time it's just where these guys want to live or for, outstanding other circumstances.
All right. Fair enough. Rashan Gary, was he a captain with the Pack? I thought I saw a C on his.
I believe he was, but I can tell you, I think a lot of the Packer fans were ready to get rid of him. Kind of at the end of the year, Micah Parsons made some statements about the effort of some of the other defensive linemen, and I think it was really directed at Rashan Gary. But maybe this is what Gary needs. He's been in Green Bay his whole career, played Michigan. Maybe a little bit nicer weather will cheer him up a little bit, and we see some better effort from Rashan Gary. Yeah, I know for me, I know if Stretch played up here in the north, he would be miserable. Some guys just need to get out of that cold weather.
You ain't and I'd be miserable. I'd hate it. Hate it.
Well, maybe.
But I tell you, I would hate it. How many times you need me to say it? I can hit the trifecta. Hate. I'd hate it. You know what? Here's the other thing is, guys need that restart. They need that kickstart. Players need a different environment. They need to hear a different voice. I think a lot of times you see this kind of thing happen, and I'm sure that the Cowboys in a lot of ways are betting on the come, because there are some times when I know that his effort was questioned, but you got to get him in here, and you got to kind of coach that out of him a little bit.
I'm with you. Totally with you.
Yeah, I think that maybe the fact that he's going to kind of have like a prove it financial situation, so an opportunity to kind of reinvent himself and earn another long-term deal. He'll have the opportunity and a great opportunity to prove himself.
He should. Like I said, I think we're going to see the Cowboys rework this deal. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe cut a year off and allow him to hit free agency sooner. If you're Rashan Gary, everything sets up for you to have a big season. You're going to have less attention on you than ever before because of those three defensive tackles. You're going to be playing in a dome. It's time to shine. And if he has a big year, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets rewarded with another big contract. We're seeing teams give these guys a bunch of money in free agency. Even guys like Khalil Mack at 35 years old are making $18 million guaranteed. Again, everything is on the table for Rashan Gary to have a big bounce back season.
All right. So one final thing before we go. So we hit on this with Jalen Thompson, and he's going to be with Malik Hooker. What about the corners and the rest of the secondary? How close are they? What do they need, do you think? What would you like to see if they could?
Stretch, what do you think?
I'm not necessarily going to say that Hooker's a starter day one. I'm going to say that I still think the Cowboys are in play for if the right safety was there. Let's just say Downs would be there at 12. Do you think the Cowboys wouldn't take him now?
I think you take him. You play three safeties.
They would. Yeah. So that's one way to look at it. And then, I'm going to tell you, I don't think it's a very, very good corner draft. I just don't. So, where are the Cowboys as far as how they feel about Bland's assessment post-surgery? Where is he at? And then, might they like one or two of these young guys that they have? I don't know. I think all that's, really remains to be seen.
I agree. They need a lot of work to be still done in that secondary. A lot of work.
All right. Well, it's only day one, so we got tomorrow, and then of course the official new year begins on Wednesday. In the meantime, we will be back with you on Thursday, and of course before that, Marcus and Landon, you will be with us every day with the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast. We will look forward to that. And again, tomorrow, you got the next episode tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Rashan Gary. We'll talk about Jalen Thompson, how they fit into this defense, why the Cowboys signed them, traded for them. Make sure you guys tune in for that.
All right. Before we go, I like a lot of great comments here. I wish we could read them all, but closing out, we got Marvel Jesus back again, but I like what Carmine says, make a play on Lloyd. That's with who's left. That would be, I'd love to see them make a run at him if they can. We'll see. We'll find out soon enough. But in the meantime, thank you everybody for watching and listening. We'll do it again on Thursday. Don't forget, check out Marcus and Landon on the daily. And Coach, thank you. We'll talk to you again Thursday as well. This has been the Cowboys Squad Show.